start.
Now it's live. We're live now.
Live.
We're live. Hey everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Pamela Katz with your CBD Haven. And this is our very first, or my very first Facebook Live. So I appreciate anybody who has decided to join us tonight. But thank you so much. Tonight we're going to be learning all about CBD and our pets. You know, we all have our biological systems that are very similar across all mammals. And CBD works, it has many benefits for us humans: pain control, management, stress, anxiety, allergies, pain, and so forth. But it also applies to our pets too. And really, is there anybody more important in our lives than our pets? No. So tonight, I'm so thrilled to have join us and to be featuring tonight from CBD Dog Health. We've got one of the co-owners, Hernando, and say hello, Hernando, and
Hello,
Carter.
Hernando.
Carter is the
Hi,
Director of
Carter.
Education and Outreach. And again, I'm Pamela Katz, and I'm owner of your CBD Haven. And I'm really just going to take it and hand it over to you guys, talk a little bit about CBD, some general information about how it works and how it works with our system, what it is. And I've got a screen in the back that's changing. But anyway, some general information, because I'm going to assume that some of our viewers don't know a lot about CBD, but then really spend some time on how it benefits pets. And then if anybody has any questions, just type them in, and then we'll address the answers to those questions after we finish presenting. So, okay, great. I guess we'll go on.
All right. Yeah. So yeah. Just for anybody, if you're watching live, please do comment any questions that you have. And then if you're watching this after the fact, we're still here that you can get in touch with us. So please interact with this video, share it with people who you know. We're here to help you, and so is Pamela. So we're going to start. You guys have probably tried or worked with CBD for yourself before, and we're here to tell you that animals, dogs, cats, pretty much any animal that we've ever found has what's called an endocannabinoid system. So this is the system.
I have a question.
Yeah. Alrighty, what's up?
Sorry, we're up. I've got to know who the names of the doggies that are in front of you.
Oh
You're
my
so
gosh!
right.
This one is Blanche.
That's my dog Blanche. She's 9 years old.
Blanche.
She's
Hey, Blanche.
throwing up right now.
Oh, she's throwing
Yeah,
up.
will you,
Awesome. Great.
Joys of having dogs.
Blanche gets camera shy.
And
Hey,
this
man.
is Odie. That went well.
Okay. That went well. Yeah. You know what? Michael Jordan threw up during one of his basketball games. So if he could throw up in front of
Really?
people,
CBD is
Yes.
really great for indigestion and upset stomachs.
Good.
And we've got a phone call coming in from one of our viewers.
ooh.
So, and this is Odie here. Odie was actually one of the inspirations for one of the tinctures that we'll talk about when when we start to notice that he had major arthritis.
Okay.
So you'll hear a little bit about Ease and how Odie got started there. But yeah.
So we were talking about the endocannabinoid system. Dogs have the same endocannabinoid system as humans do. And what this is it is a series of receptors that are found throughout the body. They are all over the place. Actually, we've got a little model here that we can show you. This is our
Oh, you got visual aid. Okay.
This is Endo. And so you got these little yellow balls and orange balls, and these represent the two different types of receptors. So you can find these receptors in the brain, in the spinal cord, all through the liver, in the gut, in the skin of your dogs. It is all throughout their bodies. And so CBD, as well as the other molecules that are found in the cannabis plant, they interact with these receptors, and that's why we're able to say that it does so many different things, because these receptors are so widely found throughout the body. So the endocannabinoid system is responsible for regulating everything from sleep to cardiac rhythm to skin health, hormone function, different systems in the brain and the central nervous system. It really is a wide-reaching. It's a pretty incredible system, and kind of its main function in the body is to maintain what's called homeostasis. And homeostasis is the scientific word that means a state of balance. So in the body, in all these various systems, it has a pro-regulatory effect, meaning that if something is overactive, it will kind of bring it back down into balance. If something is underactive or deficient, it will boost those effects and bring them up. So that's why it's so effective. And dogs especially actually have way more receptors for CBD and the other cannabinoids in their system than humans
Oh,
even
really?
do. So it's super effective for them. All those things that humans use it for, it's just as effective, if not more effective, for our dogs.
And a big thing that it also manages is the inflammation in our body, which most ailments, most diseases are caused by the inflammation of, which is why it's so incredible for so many different ailments. We get the question, well, how does CBD work for pancreatitis and also this? It's inflammation based.
Right. Right. So would you say that, because I get that question and I was confused too, how does it do so many things? Would you say that when things are off balance, if there's too many hormones being released or not enough or what have you, basically it's our systems communicating with each other, right? So if something's off balance, would you say that if you take CBD, humans or dogs, that the CBD, it's a chemical compound, that it goes to those areas that are off balance, like it naturally somehow migrates to those areas that are not working. So that's why.
It's actually proven. Let's say that if there's problems in your knee, that the CB1 and CB2 receptors all migrate to that part of your body. So when you take CBD, it all floods to that specific part of your body. It's pretty incredible how well it works with our body, and it's a natural occurring thing that it just helps regulate.
Yeah, and one thing that you said is spot on, is that it increases communication between our cells. So it increases the ability of not only our cells, but these whole systems to communicate with each other. That's how it's able to balance these systems so well, is because it allows them to interact better with each other. So, your pancreas or your liver may be overactive, and you really just need more bile production in your stomach. So that's one way that it's going to say, okay, you chill out, you boost yourself a little bit, and have everything just work a little bit better. Because when systems are overworking, that causes inflammation. That causes stress on the system, and stress throughout the body is one of the biggest killers and biggest causes of chronic disease.
Right. So even if I might not know, or we may not know what's wrong with our systems, we just know these symptoms that CBD is, and I just want to clarify this too, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong or off base, but our own cells create or manufacture endocannabinoids, right? And so the cannabis plant is one of the few plants that actually has that same ability to create that for us. And that's why it works with our systems, because
so
it augments
phytocannabinoids when they come from a plant, and endocannabinoids when they're made endogenously by our body. And they're not the same chemicals, but for instance, like our bodies make a chemical called anandamide that looks to the body a lot like CBD. And there's another chemical that it makes called 2-AG that looks a lot like THC. And so, they're not exactly the same, but they look close enough that these chemicals that are natively made by our body interact with our endocannabinoid system the same way that CBD and the other cannabinoids do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've read things that it's kind of a miracle plant, because it just helps our own systems do a better job when we can't do it.
The best essential oil in the world. We all take it. All of our chickens take it. Our pigs take it. It's just a natural thing that's been missing in all of our bodies for the last 70 years, and I think that's a big reason why we're seeing a lot of chronic diseases happening. There's been deficiencies in the endocannabinoid system. So we always encourage people to take it preventatively as well. Don't wait till the problem
Right.
rises.
Right.
Incorporate it if you can to their daily regimen, weekly, whatever it is that you can do to just kind of
Right.
prevent future things, especially as they start
Right.
getting older.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, that's not
one of the
happening to
reasons
me,
that-
but that happens to others. I don't get older, but other people do. So, but yeah, and that brings me to a question. That brings me to a question. You know, how long should someone or your pet be taking CBD? I mean, if he's stressed out or whatever by fireworks. Okay, so I have customers who come in and say, my dog gets stressed out by fireworks, and 4th of July is this weekend. So when should I give him CBD, and for how long? Should I just do it the day of and then that's it? Wait till the next fireworks session, or
The answer
what
to that is
would be the
it depends. It depends on your specific animal and their specific needs. If it's just situational anxiety, noise anxiety, separation anxiety, that kind of thing, it could be used just in that moment. Generally, we recommend starting with the calm tincture with the dropper full, which is about 9 to 12 milligrams there, and wait 15 minutes. If you don't see an immediate difference within 15 minutes in that anxious moment, we give more until we find what works. The beauty of CBD is that it's been proven over and over again to be incredibly safe at even extreme high dosages, so you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
We always reference our dog Nina, who's 55 pounds, needs 9 milligrams to relax during a storm, while Odie, who you met, who's 10 pounds, needs about 20 milligrams to relax. So has nothing to do with their size or their weight. It's about their specific needs. General anxiety is a different thing. General anxiety, I refer to like I used to be on antidepressants and for anxiety, and my doctor started me at a daily dose every day to build it up in my system. I needed to increase the dose. We do the same thing with CBD. It should be a everyday taken thing, and you increase the dosage as needed. But being consistent with general anxiety is very important.
And one of the great things about it versus medication is that you don't build up a tolerance for it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the body actually gets better over time at incorporating CBD. So we have some animals that over time they need less. Like Odie, for instance, he used to take a lot longer to calm down. It was almost like 20 minutes when he would take CBD orally that it would take him to calm down. And then a couple of weeks ago, we had a really bad thunderstorm roll through, and it took 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, that we have it on camera from the moment of application. So the body, it becomes more.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's so great.
Shaking. I think actually that's in 60 seconds. If it's the same one, he's shaking and then he's taking. And it's not like, and again, people worry about this. Oh, is he going to get lethargic or sleepy? No, they don't. They just calm down and chill out, just like us. If we take, for stress, I tell people you're not going to become lethargic. You're not going to have that fog. You're just going to be able to manage. It doesn't cure anything, right? But it helps you manage. And so I think that's a concern that people have too, is that they don't want their dog to be a slug. They don't want them to lose their spirit and all that sort of thing. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, it's not going to change the personality.
No, not at all. And if for some reason you see that your dog is a little tired after giving a dose, that just means that they might be a little sensitive to the medicine. So we just lower the dose next time. They're going to sleep real good, feel very comfortable. Again, nothing bad can happen. But if you see that 9 milligrams, they're sleepier than you want them to be, next time we do 5 milligrams. It's just all about that specific animal's needs.
And I think that a lot of people kind of are worried about the effects of CBD on their pets because they have either seen the effects or have heard of the effects of animals that get into, like their owners, marijuana edibles. So marijuana is a very different thing. Recreational cannabis is a very different thing from, hemp, pharmaceutical or therapeutic hemp that we're using for a CBD extract. They're the same plant, the cannabis plant, but very, very different compounds in them.
Correct. And that is one thing I wanted to stress. I get that question too. Is that a two-part question? THC. Now, your CBD Dog Health includes THC, and some other manufacturers don't include THC. And I mean, they may include THC in their people, CBD, but not in there for pets.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me why CBD dog health is chosen to include? And again, just to let everybody know, it's very trace amounts, very small amounts, but
It's
typically you
0.3%
include
in
THC.
there less.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of scare tactics on THC for pets, claiming that it's toxic, and it's been proven over and over again to not be toxic. It's which we have research on. And it's also been proven that a full spectrum product creates the entourage effect, which is the most efficient, effective way to get the medicine into their system, especially when we're talking about things like cancer. That THC is really, really important in there. So it's just been proven in research to be the most effective way for just about any ailment. It's whole plant medicine, broad spectrum products, meaning they took the THC out. It's tampered with chemically, and that's just not what we want to do. We love the original plant as is, and then that 0.3% THC is not enough to get them stoned or any psychoactive effects. It's just enough to create a beautiful, beautiful whole plant medicine.
And THC is an amazing therapeutic compound. It has the psychoactive effects are what people know it for, but it's great for the brain. It is an amazing painkiller. It's an appetite stimulant. It reduces inflammation. It's known as a really great cancer therapy. Like, there's so much that THC does. And there are cases also where you may want actually more THC. We know veterinarians who are using THC in very targeted ways with great efficiency and safety. So when people say like, oh, THC is dangerous even at the levels of 0.3%, which is the federally legislated amount for a hemp plant, it's just not true. It's like,
and research has shown
there's a study by the Mason Research Institute where they gave dogs up to 9,000 milligrams of THC to seek a lethal dose and were unsuccessful. We would never give our dogs 9,000 milligrams of THC. That is an insane amount of THC to give anyone. So
I'll fix no.
I would not
listen.
Want that.
10 and I'm good. 9,000. Good night.
No,
see you later.
So, okay, great. Awesome. Do you want to talk anything about some success stories that you happen to know about? I think you do.
Yeah, I mean, we own and operate a rescue farm and natural grooming and boarding shop. So we get the privilege of seeing hundreds and hundreds of dogs and getting to see some pretty incredible things. Some of my favorites on the farm, there's been 2 different Daisies that we've had that have both been rescued here. Daisy, the first Daisy was, I think, 16 when we got her. She came in, was having 3 grand mal seizures a day, even though she was on medication for seizures. She was on phenobarbital, yeast all over her feet, could barely walk. A year later, she was seizure-free. Yeast on her feet was completely gone. She was running like you won't believe. We definitely think she had doggy dementia. She'd get lost in corners, couldn't make eye contact. And all of a sudden, she was playful, making eye contact. It was a really, really incredible thing to see.
So some people think that, like, people ask me, like, oh, so what's it just going to, like, chill my dog out? But no, that is one thing that it does. But also, like, you can have these dramatic turnarounds where your dog is suffering from these serious chronic ailments, and CBD can change the quality of their life completely.
Well, we always say, CBD's job is to get the body back to homeostasis so that the body could then begin to heal itself. We always want to stress that as amazing as CBD and cannabis is, it also is very important to see what you're feeding your dog. If you're feeding the cheapest kibble on the market, it's basically like giving them McDonald's every single day.
Right.
There's so much that CBD can do in that case. So CBD is incredible, but we always encourage pet parents to learn about food as well, because it plays a big, big part into really, really getting them healthy.
And would you also say things like chemicals that people put on, like flea collars, things like that?
Awful.
Yeah, I mean, they're all quick fixes. Like they're all these different things that we have in what the Western pharmaceutical veterinary world. The anti-epileptics, the anti-allergy things like Apoquel, the flea collars, the food that is just dried and can live on the shelf forever. Like all these things are cheap, fast, the things that we would never do for ourselves, but we do it to our dogs, and it's like no wonder there are such catastrophic effects.
Yeah, CBD is not a quick
Right.
fix. It's
No.
but it's the right fix.
Yeah.
It's actually
Right.
gonna take care of the problem and not just take care of the symptoms and suppress the immune system so that something else can come in. It takes time, it takes patience, but once you get it, man, you will notice a huge difference in their
Right.
health and their quality of life.
Yeah, it's not just like stopping symptoms, single target. It's working on the whole system. It's working on your dog's whole life.
So you may be giving your dog CBD to address one issue, but you may notice that he has other things that are improved that you didn't even realize, thinking, oh, well, he's old, he's going to be sluggish, but if I can get rid of this, skin infection, that's great. But then you notice that not only did the skin infection go away, but his whole demeanor is just more energized.
Exactly.
That happened to our girl Nina when we first started to use cannabis on the farm. She had gotten a little fatty tumor in her eye because she got into a fight with a chicken, and it was during the summer, so there's a lot of thunderstorms, and she's terrified of thunderstorms. So she's getting CBD every day for her anxiety, and then slowly the tumor starts to disappear, and we were like, "What's going on?"
Whoa.
And as we learned more of what it could do, it made total sense. So yeah, you'll use it for one reason, then start seeing the incredible differences all over their health.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing that you may get questions about is we have products that target different things. So, for instance, we have one tincture that's specifically designed for pain, arthritis, and the way that those are differentiated is not only by the potency of the CBD, how much CBD is in there, but also the other essential oils that are in there that help with the effects. Sorry, we got a lot of dogs. That's
They're happy. So anyway, okay.
So the different essential oils in there help with the compounding benefits of the CBD. So say you want to reduce joint pain and arthritis. The turmeric and frankincense that are in the Ease tincture, they share compounds, chemical compounds, all those plants with CBD. So it's going to boost the effects that are already just native to all those plants and help them work together even better. So you can be really targeted with the different ailments. But it's possible that you may take this Ease tincture for an older dog that has joint pain and arthritis, and you may be able to stop seizures. You may be able to, calm them down if they have anxiety.
Right. Because it's going to help that communication process get back into balance again.
Exactly.
So for some of the salves that you have for different like skin allergies and things like that, I've gotten a couple questions of, oh, my dog, when I put it on his legs or feet or whatever, paws, he licks it off. Is that dangerous? And I say no. Can you kind of address that? It's not dangerous if they lick it off. You want to keep it on so it, is effective. But can you kind of answer that question, that if they're concerned if their little doggy is licking off or licking some of the salve, is that going to be dangerous for the dog?
No, it's not dangerous at all. Everything
or cat.
Yeah, all these essential oils.
It's not talking about cat.
Exactly.
We have to look at cats.
No, all these essential oils are 100% safe for them to ingest. We were very, very meticulous about choosing the sourcing and making sure that they meet our standards, and of course making sure that the essential oils itself are safe. The great thing about salves for dog skin is, so dogs have 3 layers of skin, and in each layer of skin, they have both CB1 and CB2 receptors. So when you put a salve on the skin, it absorbs very quickly. So we generally recommend try to distract them for about 2 minutes so that it soaks in, and after that, it's okay if they lick it off. It's soaked in. But all the essential oils are 100% safe.
And I knew that, but I just wanted to put anybody's mind at ease.
Yeah, and tinctures and salves are a wonderful combination together. Let's say allergies. This putting a tincture onto the gums, which we can talk about administration, so that it goes into the bloodstream, is going to help the allergy symptoms throughout the body. And then adding the Soothe salve to the targeted area where they're having the allergy spots by attacking it through the inside and out through the receptors, through the body, and then through the receptors in the skin. You're just going to see a lot faster difference. Same thing with Heal and Remedy for fatty tumors, for cysts, all that.
These are cancer fighters.
Yes.
You know?
This guy here will do the job for a fatty tumor by itself, but adding these two together is going to go a lot faster for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
And they smell delicious.
And they smell
great. I put them on myself. Any little bump I get, I'm putting it on me every day.
Yeah. Well, you are a mammal, I think.
Yes.
I think so.
On most days.
So I have a couple questions that are coming in, and I wanted to see good info. We're just getting praises and so forth. Oh, and thanks. Wanted to point out to anybody that we have folks at CBD Dog Health have been posting some other resources. So if you want to read or learn more about some of the topics that we're talking about, please feel free to do so. Also, after this is over with, I'm going to make sure that I also connect those resources to this archive version, to the archive.
We put out a lot of content, a lot of videos and blogs that kind of dive further into these subjects. If you want to learn more about why it works, how it works, what different ailments you can work on, and more information about dosing. I mean, Pamela is a great resource, but we've also got lots of writing and handy graphics.
You do. Yeah, I read all your blog. I mean, I read your blogs a lot, and I kind of sometimes take some of the content from my own social media.
That's what they're there for.
Take it.
Yeah, I learn things. So talk about dosage. How important is it for your pet to have the right dosage? And is it, I know you mentioned it earlier that you really can't OD on it, or your dog can't, but if you have two dogs that are about the same size and they have the same ailments, let's say they're the same age, maybe they're from the same litter even, is it possible, and again, you referenced it earlier, but is it possible that they could require two different dosages? And then how do you know when the dosage is right? They can't answer you. So how can you?
Every one of us has a different endocannabinoid system, and we all need a specific amount of cannabis to help. I always say a small dog with cancer needs a lot more than a big dog with anxiety. It's just the way it is. So point. As far as dosing goes, I always tell pet parents, we have the dosing guide, which I'm sure we'll put up in a minute there. And that dosing guide is based on research. It's also based on It's also based on our experience on the farm. It's somewhere. That's a great starting point. But it's just that. It's a starting point. So if we're dealing with, let's say, arthritis, we say start with about 12 to 18 milligrams a day and adjust accordingly. Meaning, I tell pet parents, keep a journal on hand if you can and write down every day, I gave this much, this is the difference I saw. And in about a week and a half, you will know whether your dog is running around or not, all of a sudden getting up the stairs or not. You have to trust your pet parent instincts a lot of times and see the difference for yourself and adjust accordingly. If they need more, then we add more. If they get too lethargic, then we bring it down. For example, Daisy, who I spoke about earlier, who had the 3 grand mal seizures a day, she needed, we found 75 milligrams a day, a 10-pound Chihuahua, to stop the grand mal seizures.
Yeah, she's a little dog. Yeah. Wow.
We decided to do an experiment, and we, I think, took down the daily dose by 20 milligrams for one day. The next day, seizure. So we got it right back up to that 75, and she didn't have one. So it's so dependent on the animal and their needs. And like I said before, the beauty of it is you cannot hurt them. You cannot kill them. It's just about their specific bodies and their specific ailments. foods.
Right.
Most pet companies, all pet CBD companies, are telling you to dose by weight because it's the easiest answer to find. It's
Right.
the only way to give you a definitive answer, and unfortunately, this is not a definitive kind of thing.
Yeah, that's just, it's not, that is how some isolated synthetic pharmaceuticals work. It's not how whole plant medicine works. But, you know, kind of
Right.
what is great about this is there's also a very wide range of both efficacy and safety with CBD. So you don't have to get like right on that specific amount for them for it to be working. You will see it working, and that's why you have some flexibility to play with that dosage, to see how it's working. Don't, you know, you can kind of take a load off and don't be so stressed out about like, oh, did I do it right? Am I doing it right? Like,
Yeah.
you will know if you're doing it wrong. If your dog is like too lethargic or nothing's happening, you'll see that,
Right.
and they're not hurt. Take it back a little bit. If you're not seeing the effects, if they're still a little creaky or they're still not calm, you can add a little bit more. It's going to be safe. It's going to be effective in a wide range. So, you know, it's different. You know, it's something that people have to get used to, kind of taking that into their own hands.
Yeah, and trial and error. So should people give their CBD, or especially a tincture, in the morning, at night, with food, without food, or does it really matter?
You know, I always suggest splitting, if we're doing a daily dose, if we're trying to help a specific ailment, to, let's say their daily dose is 30 milligrams, split it up into morning and night, or even 3 times a day if you can. It stays in their bloodstream for about 8 hours. It peaks at what?
About 2 hours.
About 2 hours, but stays into bloodstream at around 8 hours. So
and this ranges between animals depending on metabolism.
Yeah. So if your dog is in extreme pain and you give them CBD to chill the pain out, and then 8 hours later they're in pain again, then we dose them again there. If you know that
Right.
40 milligrams a day is what's stopping seizure, then break it up into 20 milligrams in the morning, 20 milligrams at night. It's definitely better.
Generally, with food is thought to be better, but you know, it's just also easier to do it at meal times when you're already feeding them. It can be part of that whole ritual, but it's going to work. You know, like they don't have to have it on a full stomach or an empty stomach. Yeah, it's again
Right,
pretty flexible.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try the same thing with people too. So as far as administering an oil, I have a couple of people have said, you know, they're scared of holding their dog down and, you know, putting the dropper in their gums. So or their cat. So are there other ways to provide CBD to the pet? And if they can smell it, I have Debbie's cats can kind of smell the CBD if she puts it in food and they don't like that. So are there some other successful ways that you can either mask or just get the CBD into their system?
Absolutely. So like the other way that we really encourage people to try if they can't get to their pet's mouth, even, you know, with a helper, somebody kind of distracting them, is to actually put it on the inner ear, on the pinna. Here, actually, I'll use my.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's our
So
buddy.
this kind of area here, where the fur stops growing inside the ear, if you just rub it into that area, that skin there is going to be able to absorb it directly into the bloodstream with about just as much efficiency as through the gums. So, you know, it's
That's great.
this is a conversation about bioavailability, about how much of the medicine the body can absorb through the oil, and through the ear and through the gums are the best way. When you put it on their food, you get less out of the medicine. It takes longer. So you're just going to be wasting more of it. It's less cost effective. The dog is feeling less of it, or the cat. So really, first thing to try, do the gums. If you can't do that, try the ears. And usually they'll allow that. You just I think another thing is like, so you gotta like come at them as if it's like not a torture. You know, it's not a punishment. And people are like, you can't do that. You're like,
They
oh
sense
no,
it.
oh
They
no,
know
we're not
that.
doing this thing they hate. They know. Like, but if you come at them like it's a treat,
And reward them with a treat after every
Right.
time. They know I get my medicine, I get my treat.
condition them.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, what I tell a lot of if your dog has cancer, if your dog's suffering from seizures, if there's a serious ailment going on, I will get bit. I will make sure that CBD is getting into the gums, because I know I'm the dad. I'm going to make sure that my dog's taken care of. Of course, I don't want you to get bit, but there's a huge difference between putting it on the food and making sure it gets into the bloodstream either way. So if we're dealing with serious ailments, I really, really encourage pet parents to not take the easy way out and find a way to get it in either one of those ways. Mm-hmm.
So that brings up another question. As far as delivery method, we've got treats, we've got salves and tinctures. Would you recommend that? A lot of people like to give their dog treats, but would you recommend, based on what you just said, that if my first recommendation to a customer or to somebody is that you really should probably use a tincture instead of a treat?
Absolutely. I think treats are an amazing way. Blanche has separation anxiety. So she gets a daily dose of tincture just for general health. And then before I leave, she gets extra treats to just get some into her system. Mm-hmm. Adding it as an added bonus for CBD is awesome. Adding it as, like we were talking about before, as using it as a preventative, just as a daily supplement, is an amazing way to do it. And our treats are just freeze-dried salmon, vitamin E and CBD, so they're healthy, they're delicious. Dogs love them.
Whole food ingredients,
but if
super high quality.
If we're treating seizures and cancer or pain, or if you need to see immediately them calm down from a thunderstorm, you want to do a tincture for sure. I love the treats so much, but in reality, the tinctures are definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And that's the same with edibles for people.
Exactly.
I kind of view edibles as kind of an extra, but if you've got real issues, you want to get into your bloodstream right away.
Exactly.
And you're not losing all that through your liver, your digestive tract and so forth.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the last study I saw said it was as high as maybe like 12% of the medication makes it to the bloodstream after it passes the digestive system. So you're really missing a good amount there. To me, not worth it.
But there are, like, there's something to be said about, there's lots of receptors for cannabinoids in the gut, in the stomach, through the intestines. So, you're getting some through there that might not have been as direct if you were putting it in the ears.
If my dog has stomach cancer or something, I'd be making them swallow that.
Yeah.
Something in the throat. There is always exceptions to the rule, but generally,
of course.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and our gut does play a huge part in our health, right?
Okay.
The second brain, they call it, our gut.
Yep. Exactly.
So, awesome. So, I don't know. I don't see if anybody has any questions. Any more questions? I really just brought up the ones that I'm getting the most of. Can you talk a little bit, and then I'll just, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but can you talk to me a little bit about the background of CBD Dog Health, how it came to be, your founder?
Yeah. So our fearless leader, Miss Angela Ardolino, you could see she's a holistic pet expert, the cannabis pet expert. You can visit her at angelaardolino.com if you just want to learn more about holistic and other cannabis ways to help your animals. So she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. She did not want to take Humira because it was linked to lymphoma, and she's a pretty natural, holistic person to begin with, and that's where she found cannabis for herself. It took away her joint pain, and at the same time, it eased her anxiety, and she was like, what's going on? So
right.
She wanted to learn more. Yeah, like, how is this happening? Why did I not know about this? So she started to travel all over the country and going to cannabis conventions, and at the time she had a parenting magazine. So she started to feature all these stories about these kids that she would see that would be having seizures, get a dropper full of CBD, and immediately the seizures would stop. And she thought to herself, this is inhumane. How did we not know about this before? Every parent should have this option. So she sold her last company, the magazine, and she got invited into the inaugural class of University of Vermont's medical cannabis program. And that's where she learned that animals have the same system we do, called the endocannabinoid system. And it was kind of a no-brainer for her. She's also owned a rescue farm for the last 12 years. So her two favorite things in the world, animals and cannabis, came together. And she was able to work on the tinctures because she had the animals here to use it on. She knew how safe it was, so she knew that she can play around with dosages and find out. And for example, like I said, Odie, who we saw in the beginning here,
Right.
this is the tincture inspired by him when he couldn't go up the stairs anymore because of his joint pain. She wanted to find something that worked specifically for him. And when she was playing around with CBD and she learned about terpenes in turmeric and frankincense having beta-caryophyllene, which is the same terpene that it has there, that's what all of a sudden started to work for him to run up and down the stairs. So it was just kind of the light bulb moment of, oh my God, these other amazing terpenes are going to help there.
And another thing that that she saw as she was coming into this industry is that there were all these pet products that were not actually made for pets. It was sort of an afterthought that a paw print was slapped on a human label, and oftentimes when doing that, they made some grave mistakes that included having xylitol and other synthetic chemicals in there that
Stevia and
things that are really bad for dogs, or potencies and dosages that were inappropriate for dogs.
Right.
And so, she really wanted to specialize and have this line of products really tailored to the specific issues that we're dealing with animals, and deliver it in a way that they're going to be able to get the most effect out of them.
Yeah. Our
Right.
number one priority is the animal.
Mm-hmm.
We won't do anything the easy way. We won't do anything the cheap way. Our priority is to make the animal comfortable and healthy. So whatever that takes. And we learn every single day. We learn more and more and more and more. And as we learn, we grow and we educate all over the country, when we can, the world.
Yeah.
Because we've just, we see dogs come in and out of our rescue farm who can't walk, start to
Yeah.
run. And
it's personal for us.
it's
We
personal.
we see it in our own lives, and it's such an amazing thing that's been kept from us for so long. So, we really want to kind of take a generous attitude with it and help everybody be included in this and have this in their tool belt.
And animals can speak up for themselves.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're
Right.
loud people. we could cover it.
Yeah.
And that brings me to the point of, as you know, this is an unregulated industry, and there's a lot of not so
Shysters?
yes, just low effective liars even.
Yeah.
And it's tough to see, and we get the phone calls every day of I tried CBD and it didn't work, and that's where we're coming in with education to tell people, listen, I can't help every animal in the world. So if you come at me, show me an amazing other product that you're using, I'm going to back that product up, because our intention is to help the animal for sure.
Right.
So we always encourage people to look for, I'm sure you do too, for COA, certificate of analysis,
Yep.
to make sure that that company is transparent, so that what they are saying is what they're saying on the label actually reflects what's in the bottle.
In the product, right. And I wanted to back up a couple things. Terpenes. Can you explain a little bit what terpenes are, and then some advice in terms of for our listening audience for how to evaluate the right products? What questions to ask? Because I'm all about education too.
Yeah.
Because when I see the shysters out there, they're just hurting all of us. And because the same thing, people come in, I use CBD. It didn't work. Well, what was the product? Oh, it doesn't even have CBD in there, or they're giving bad advice, or what have you. So if people ask the right questions, then they can evaluate for themselves what's right. And then the more educated everybody is, we're going to drive those shysters out of business,
Exactly.
ultimately. And then I personally, I don't mind competition as long as they're legitimate, because
Right.
as long as we raise awareness of CBD and what it is and what it does, and the more people are educated about it, there's enough runway for all of us, but not for the bad ones, so
Exactly.
but anyway, so I know I'm rambling. If you could talk a little bit what terpenes are and how important they are, and again, just maybe one or two things to ask when you go to a retailer or other product, manufacturer, what things they should ask for.
Okay.
Terpenes.
Terpenes are awesome. I love terpenes. Terpenes are what they're called volatile molecules that are found in all sorts of different flowering plants. And when I say volatile, that means that like they change state. So they basically there's like a lavender plant. Ooh,
Right.
we have some
Oh.
lavender.
You're
So-
probably gonna have lavender sitting by you.
So at the ends of all these little lavender flowers, there's a little gland, a tiny little gland, and out of that gland, it just constantly is streaming these molecules. So it will just stream these molecules. These are terpenes, and that's when you smell lavender, you're smelling the terpenes from these lavender flowers.
Right.
So terpenes, not only do they give off fragrance, but they have all these different therapeutic benefits. There are many different terpenes, and a lot of different plants share the same terpenes, the same chemical compounds. So for instance, the lavender plant, the lavender flower, has a terpene called linalool, which has incredible therapeutic benefits. It's great for the cardiovascular system. It's anti-inflammatory. It's anti-cancerous, and the cannabis plant also contains the terpene linalool. So terpenes are another one of these many compounds that are found in the cannabis plant that all work together. That linalool is better than just CBD alone or linalool alone. They boost each other's benefits. It's part of this vast and intricate mix of all these different compounds in a whole plant medicine, and why they work so well and why they're so different. So you really, when you look at first like a certificate of analysis, for instance, it's really great if you can see a nice varied terpene profile where you see that there are a bunch of different terpenes in there, because they all do different things and they're all wonderful and beneficial.
So speaking of COAs, the certificate of that did. So speaking of COAs, which kind of brings me to the second point, when people want to make sure that what they're buying is legitimate and all that, we always recommend people asking to see the COA or the certificate of analysis, which is it's a lab report that's based on a third-party lab will conduct, quite often by batches, an analysis of what's in the product that you're selling. So that we're selling. So making sure that it has the CBD and all that, the terpene profiles that you claim, that the manufacturer claims, but it also makes sure that it doesn't have other harmful ingredients in there too.
Yeah.
Metals, poison, things like that.
And we have a video that we'll post with Carter explaining how to read a COA, because I know not everyone's read one. I didn't.
Yeah, lab results are not intentionally super easy to read, but there are some similar things that you can look in all of them, so you know what you're getting.
So on our products, on these tinctures, there's a QR code that you can scan. It'll go directly to the COA for the batch number that this specific product was made from, to show again that there is the amount of CBD we're saying, that there is at least that 0.3% THC and other cannabinoids, that there is a terpene profile, and like you said, to make sure that there's no pesticides or heavy metals or other things like that. It's the only way to know that a company is telling the truth on their label. Unfortunately, there's quite a few who are not.
And that's like the first sign that you're dealing with a shady product, is if they're not willing to be transparent about the contents of that product, there is no way for you to trust what they're saying.
Run, don't walk.
And I see Angie just wrote this, and this is, I was going to say this too, is that this is why going to trusted places like your CBD Haven is so important, because people like Pamela are doing the homework for you.
Right.
So
she knows how to read a COA.
Yes.
She has vetted the product. She knows what's
I'm
in
a
it.
nerd. I like that stuff. But yeah, we were so particular, because I got one shot at this, and if it's not, my integrity personally and for the store, it's so important that people get what they pay for, and help their expectations, help them understand how it works, what to ask, whether they come to me or somebody else. I don't want anybody to be ripped off or told a story that's not true, because then they'll have a bad view of what CBD can do for them.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you never have that second chance, you know.
Yeah. Completely
So,
agree.
yep. And so when somebody comes in and says CBD doesn't work, a lot of the times I'll ask them questions like, okay, what this, it's a product. Okay, well, that's valid. That's a good product. It's, but then it's also the dosage. It's also consistent. You know, we'll have people say, well, I tried it once or twice. Didn't really
Right.
work.
Right.
Well, please at least give it the whole product, you know, do it for the whole month that you purchase. At least give it that shot. So, and then don't be afraid to change the dosage. And we follow up with our customers about a week after they buy a new product from us, just to see how it's going, to see if they
Great. That's
have
awesome.
questions. So, because I don't want people to fail. I mean, CBD may not work for somebody or for their, it may not, you know, but you got to give it the best shot that you possibly can before you can give up. And that's what I tell people. You got to do it right. You got to choose the right product. You got to play with the dosage. You've got to understand what you're buying. You've got to also set your expectations. It's not, you know, you're going to maybe cure or what have you, but it'll help manage those symptoms and help get to the root cause of a lot of the issues because it's doing. So it's not replacing what our bodies do. It augments or, you know, helps our bodies work better. We work better, great, all the time. I mean, it's amazing how we are 99% of the time we are in balance. But it's just those times when we're not that we need some help. So, and it's the same thing with our pets. I mean, pets are people too. That's my little tagline. But
Pets are people.
they deserve, you know, I mean, if we're going to have pets, if we're going to have animals in our homes and members of our family, we owe it to them to give them the best care that they can, or don't have one. You know,
I think,
so
I think people forget that animals are more similar to us than people think, and
Right.
as they get older, they go through the same joint pains and same issues that we
Yep.
do, and they need, you know, what they're eating. Like we've said before, you know, just like think as I'm getting older, there are
Right.
certain things I can't eat. Same thing for them, you know. So really
Right.
being aware that you got to see your dog. There's probably some joint pain going around there,
Yep.
and whether you see it or not, and giving them something like full spectrum CBD is gonna be incredible. And like
Yep.
I said before, as a preventative,
Yeah,
I
treat preventatively
I cannot encourage that
before
enough.
it's too late.
Right.
You know, it's never too late, honestly. But you can mitigate a lot of the long-term damage if you start a little earlier.
Yep. And that's why I called this 9 top reasons why your dog or cat needs CBD. If they don't need it today, they will, you know, because if they're going to get older, if they're going to start, I mean, you could have a dog that is no problems with thunderstorms and fireworks. But then as they get older, they may start, you know, with those phobias and fears and just like we do. So, if you don't need it today, they will need it. And who knows, they may need it and they just can't tell you that they're in pain or anxiety or PTSD or, it just, you know, I don't know. It's just a real passion that I want to make sure that our animals that serve us so well, that we take care of them. So I don't know, do you guys have any more comments or questions? I mean, what I wanted to say to everybody who's tuned in is call to action. For everybody who's watching this, you get a 20% discount on all products if you buy them through my store of CBD Dog Health. There's a secret code, and that secret code, of course, I forgot. No, it's Facebook Live 20 because you get a 20% discount. And it's good through Sunday night, but it's Sunday. So, but if you say Facebook Live 20, so when you go to our website, you pick all the CBD dog health products you want, and then when you check out, there's a box for a code, and it's Facebook Live 20. It's all one word, and you get 20% off. So, and it's only for those products.
I love that. Yay!
Yeah,
That's so cool. Good stuff.
So, and then of course, if you share this, it'll be archived. But if you share it with a friend, which we encourage you to do, they will hear it. They will hear this, and they'll go on, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, it doesn't work because it may be next week." But I'm also going to let people know that there'll be another code that they can use. So I want people to start trying CBD and but really reaching out to us and asking questions.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. And right now,
that's...
especially, I mean, I would say this on any normal day, but specifically right now, if people are watching, to know how important it is for you guys to support these small businesses in your area who are working their butts off for you guys right now. So please go to your CBD Haven and
yes, I agree, but only for doing our job. Yep, only for doing our job. Yep. And so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we are, but I love it. I love it. I have a story about why I got into this business after 30 years in the corporate world, and it was about CBD and how it helped me. And so that's for another day. But I really, really appreciate you guys joining me for our first Facebook Live, and it worked. I mean,
and one day we'll be there live.
Yes.
I don't think the world is blown up. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. No,
don't look inside now.
So yeah, maybe we're just the three people left. Or Debbie's here, but anyway. So really appreciate it. But absolutely reach out to me. I'm at Pamela at yourcbdhaven.com, or reach out, I guess, to you, Carter. Right? If they have any more questions, general questions, or if they want you guys to come on tour. To help educate them, because that's another mission we have, is to start educating some of the veterinarians around here, and shelters, and help train them. So anyway, well, thank you. I think that's it. And thank you, everybody who's joined. Oh, absolutely. Thank you. And
thank you.
I guess you don't have any little dogs around.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Bye,
Love you, dog.
Bye.
Bye. I guess I just turn it off now. Bye. This will be on forever.